What's poppin', y'all? What is going on? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. It's your boy Mansa, and today we're going to do something a little bit differently. We're going to get back to the essence of the channel. You know, when I first started the channel, it's easy, when you first start to kind of talk about a million things. You got a million video ideas. You talk about, personal stuff, your favorite this, your favorite that, things you like, things you don't like. And that's kind of how I wanted the channel to be, more personal, but also talk about topics that's happening in the gaming world and things like that. So I want to kind of get back to that. So I started this series that we're starting right now. This is episode 1 of Couch Conversations. So Couch Conversations is basically going to be just my thoughts on things going on in the gaming industry in the grand scope of things and how it kind of affects people on the personal side, not just the hey, what's the new games this week, or just the regular gaming news stuff you get every day or from every other channel. Kind of want to talk about how it relates to us personally. So for today's episode, we are going to be talking about is gaming becoming a luxury hobby. And now this has been talked about for a decent amount of time, honestly, when you think about it. Starting back at the beginning of this generation, back in 2020, back during COVID, people were like, oh, no one's going to be spending money on video games because, listen, no one knew what was going on with the world. People were losing their jobs, couldn't get paper towels and toilet paper or whatever. Like, it was a lot going on. This has come up again because of, first it started with the Switch 2 coming out and Mario Kart World coming out for $80. And now a lot of people said, hey, Mario Kart, listen, you can't be $80, right? Everyone was saying that. Then GTA 6, people were saying, hey, it might be $100, and then the talks of variable pricing and things like that. And then next thing you know, Xbox, they raised the price of all their systems. I think the Series X is like $650 now or something like that. The Series S is like $450. It's like, dang, man, like, you never seen this ever. Go back to any console generation, you never seen consoles increase in price, especially this amount halfway through the generation. More than halfway. We're already 5 years in, coming this fall. So the thought behind everything is, okay, is gaming now pricing the common man out, right? Are we getting to the point where gaming, which I think a lot of people, why they feel this way is because, when it comes to other things, let's say, I know some people, they collect like alcohol, like really expensive, like bourbon and other things like that, or whiskeys, like rare whiskeys, or like people collect watches and things like that. But these things that people have grown accustomed to having as a common man is now becoming something people can't enjoy. Like, even when it comes to sports and the music industry, like, you look at sports prices and tickets, they're super expensive. Concerts, super expensive. Everything has become super expensive. And at the end of the day, it is entertainment. They are things that we use to kind of escape our day-to-day lives. But people need these things. Like, you could say, oh, you don't need it, but we as humans have grown accustomed to it, and we do need some type of entertainment. You can't just wake up, eat, go to work, come back home, go to sleep, and do that every you're gonna lose your mind, right? Like, you can't keep doing this. There is a aspect to it that is, yes, this is a luxury, you don't need it, but at the end of the day, everyone needs some type of extracurricular activities, and it's things that we have with, especially in America, right? Like, our whole thing is entertainment, like movies, TV, sports, video games. That is our thing. My thoughts on the $80 price tag isn't, I think the first aspect of the conversation is, should games be $80? I know a lot of people say, hey, games were $60 for so long, but that was the argument for when games went to 70 at the beginning. Like, how are we having another price jump in the same generation, right? And then by all accounts, a lot of people say this generation has been lackluster, especially from the first party side of things. There's been a lot of good games, but a lot of them have been cross-gen, and everything goes back to the budgeting. So Like, how can you say this game is worth 80 but this one isn't? To some people you might say it is worth 80, and some it's not. Mario Kart for some people is not worth $80. Grand Theft Auto, by all metrics, based on how often the games come out or not often they come out, because they don't come out that often, how much money it costs to make the game, how much, the fidelity, as we've seen from the trailers and things like that. There's a lot going on in the game where you could say, okay, this might be a $90 game, $100 game, things like that. Now it becomes tricky where 80 becomes the standard. Now, I'm personally, if we're talking about variable pricing, I'm not necessarily mad at it, because we do have some form of that right now. You see smaller games, or like indie games, or even like AA games, they'll be 30, 40, 50 bucks. We just got probably the game of the generation with Expedition 33, 50 bucks, right? Like, yeah, it is an indie title, so they were able to price it at that, but I think that game's worth $70 easily, maybe even $80. Like, it'd be a hard sell because it was their first game, but now that we know what they're capable of, their next game, if they want to charge 80, who knows? There's been questions if Borderlands 4 is going to be $80, and now after the whole Mario Kart controversy, we had the Xbox showcase on Sunday, and guess what happened? We learned that Outer Worlds 2 is going to cost $80, and now Xbox, or Phil Spencer, did tell us already that this fall, hey, expect their big games to be $80. So we should have already anticipated this, but the question is, why did they choose Outer Worlds 2? You would think that the next Call of Duty will be 80 bucks, and most people can understand that, even though it is an annualized game. But now it's like the Outer Worlds 2, Obsidian as a whole, yeah, Avowed was 70 bucks, but Obsidian is known as like the consistent AA style type of studio that puts out these, great experiences, but they're never like the big, super deep 80-hour, if you want them to be, they can be, but they take pride in, giving you accessible 30-40 hour experiences, and then you get in, get out, get your experience, and keep it moving. And I feel like now, if the standard is 80, I think a lot of studios are going to suffer, like Obsidian. And now the other part of this is, companies they're doing this math, they're doing the analysis and everything, and saying, hey, people spend this amount of money on microtransactions, people spend this amount of money on early access. Like, technically we've been paying $80, $90, $100 for games for the last few years, because we're paying for these deluxe editions, early access, everything like that. Now, obviously, you're getting something with that, DLC sometimes and things like that, but these companies are seeing it like, hey, the people are willing to spend the money. We just got to push and add a little bit on top and see where it goes from there. But, at the end of the day, people don't like being told what to do. People don't like being told, okay, you're paying $80 for this game. No, let me pay 60 or 70 or whatever it costs. Then let me make the decision of how much. Some people have spent thousands of dollars at this point on Fortnite and Warzone and all this other stuff, but that was their choice. They got to pick what they wanted to spend the money on. If you told them right up front, hey, you got to pay $90, they'll be like, what? I'm not doing that. So that's where that comes into play. The other part that a lot of people may not want to hear, but it's just the reality, and I think that's the main point of this whole video, is reality and accepting reality and saying for what things are, and that is the fact that you have to decide if that is worth it for you. Is the game worth the $80? Is it worth the $70? You kind of have to say that with games before they even made these price hikes, and then being able to decide, okay, how do I maneuver this? Because there's other ways to get around it, right? You have Game Pass, and I'm not trying to shill for Microsoft, but Game Pass has been the best deal in value in gaming for the last, since it came out essentially, but especially now. You're like, mention all these games, think about Game Pass Ultimate, $20 a month, right? You had Doom the Dark Ages, Oblivion, Remasters, Avowed, Expedition 33, you're gonna Outer Worlds 2, all these games, all the games I just mentioned is over $300 if you add it all up. That's not even every game that's coming out this year, plus not to mention the back catalog of Xbox games that are on there. And you know, you got Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out. And now I'm not trying to say, hey, you know, then it comes down to, do you want to own your games and all that, and the digital versus physical. I'm not here to tell you what to do with that, but I think everyone has to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, what am I willing to do to continue to enjoy my hobby? Are there things that we don't like about it? Yes, there are things we don't like about everything in life, right? But you got to decide, do you wait for a sale? You don't need to wait. You don't need to buy a game on day one, right? Sales happen all the time, especially not even just Black Friday. Look out for Steam sales, or look out for publisher sales and things like that. Maybe get the disc version physically if you have a physical console, get it on eBay for cheaper. Like, people just got to be smart about how we're gonna, you know, consume video games and keep enjoying it, because if we just get into getting beat down and letting the companies get the best of us and all that, it's like the company's going to do what they're going to do. They're going to do whatever to make sure their bottom line is secure. And the whole, is it a luxury hobby or becoming it? I think there are aspects of it that are, and there are aspects of it that aren't. Like, everything's expensive nowadays, and wages aren't equaling out to the expenses of life in general, let alone entertainment. So, you know, how I feel about it is, obviously I don't like it at all. I don't like prices of things going up, but for me, I buy a lot of games on sale, and I'm a subscriber to Game Pass. And then if there's a game I really want, like the next 3D Mario, next 3D Zelda, and the next God of War, something like that, I'll shelve out the money for being able to pay it, you know, play it day one. But I'm not doing that for every game. There's a million games that come out and you spend money and then you don't finish it, and then now it's on sale and you didn't play it for 8 months. I have games I got on sale back in 2022 that I haven't touched yet. So, you know, even then, like that, even that's kind of waste of money, right? So, but that's about it. I kind of went on a long tangent, but you guys let me know what you think about the $80 games, the status of gaming nowadays, these console prices going up, everything. Let me know in the comment section below. Again, like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next video.